Hello and welcome to another Applied Energistics 2 tutorial, or should I say explanation video, because I got some comments on this autocrafting system that I had in the autocrafting tutorial. And basically what you guys, or some of you guys, have been wondering about is how does it work? I didn't do a real walkthrough of it in that video, so I thought I'll do a kind of detailed walkthrough, and if you still need more information, I will rebuild it from scratch to finished over here, and that will be of course much more detailed, but so watch that part if you need, or just settle with the initial walkthrough. I have changed it slightly from that video. I have two crafting CPUs, perhaps you can see that. It's because I found a bug in my, well, a limitation I would say. So, and I will go through that of course. And I expanded with these storage monitors just to keep track on how much material I have in the system, because all of these are required. Well, most of them are anyway. So everything starts here. I have ME controller, and underneath I have the power, just a creative energy cell. So that's power for the entire system. And I have a 1K crafting storage here, so that's one crafting CPU. This is the smallest crafting CPU you can have. And that crafting monitor is just to make things more clear what's happening. I do recommend having those because they make things so much easier, especially if the system is stuck. That will tell you at what part it's stuck on, or at least what part it's crafting, so it will help you in the process. So anyway, I have the pattern terminal. It's only useful when doing the patterns. So I'm not using that. When it's finished, it's not required anymore, so we can remove it actually. And then we have the crafting terminal just to access everything and order. So what I can do is, I can demonstrate that directly. We have these three: logic, calculation, and engineering processors. So these three are the purpose of this entire setup. So if I take one logic processor, one of those, fine, next. Requires 1 gold to craft one of these. Perfect. And automatic, this doesn't matter if it will use number 0 or 1. I just have it automated. For 1, it's no big deal. So now we can see here, we have some gold being sent over there, and all of a sudden then it ends up in this inscriber, and then we get the processor. And this inscriber is filled up with, I missed it, with a print from here, I think. Oh yeah, it's crafting. That's perfect. That means I can start with this furnace. So this interface up here has a pattern to make 8 silicon with 8 quartz dust. This furnace will accept the dust from the top and cook them into silicon. From the left side, we export coal all the time. It will always keep the furnace filled with coal, just a standard export bus with nothing else. And we have the import bus below. It will just import whatever is cooked directly back into the system. So this part is only to craft, to create silicon. Then we have the next part. We have the printed parts. Here I have 4 interfaces. They are all working exactly in the same way. These inscribers, they have the task of crafting or building, creating the different parts. So down here we have the engineering press. Next we have the calculation press, and here we have the logic press. This was the one used for gold, the logic processor. That's gold to make that. And the top one has the silicon press, and this will craft, yeah, the silicon. So all these, the pattern says just create one printed silicon with one silicon. And down here we have then one gold to make one printed and logic, and one Certis quartz to make the calculation, and then the diamond down here to make the printed engineering circuit. And then same as before, import bus. All these are just import buses with no upgrades or anything. Import the result from the press just back into the system. Well, I should point here because here's where we have the storage. And the final part is to really do the processor. So here I have 3 patterns. One for engineering and then calculation, and one for logic. And they are inserted from the top. That means they will go up here in the Inscriber. And then we have redstone and printed silicon. These are used in every processor. So if I remove that, you can see I have a cable down back here as well. So just to be clear, from the top we insert the printed circuit. And that's the printed circuit crafted from these inscribers. From the back we always export redstone into the inscriber. And down here we have the final part. It's the printed silicon. And here you can have export printed silicon, and it's upgraded with a crafting card. That means that if it needs a printed silicon, this crafting card is able to order that. And here I can switch between crafting with stocked items or craft items, or just always craft. I want to have this one. The crafting card, yeah, if I remove it, it will disappear. And the reason why I have used stocked items first before crafting is that now I have 7. Yeah, if I have printed silicons already, it won't order new ones. So if I turn these into printed silicon to speed up the process later, it will first use those 7 before crafting new ones. So that's inserted from the bottom, or exported from the system into the Inscriber. You have to keep track on import and export. So when all these 3, the silicon and redstone, will always be here. As long as we have a stock of Certis quartz dust and redstone, and coal for that matter, since we need to craft the silicon over here, this will always be prepared to make one processor. And when it's finished, import bus on this side to just import it back to the system. So now we can do this one more time. Perhaps we should do engineering processor. That's a good one. And let's make 1. Here it ends up directly, diamond down here. It went back to the system, then it is sent up here. Done. We need a new, perfect timing. We need a new silicon press. So that's ordered here, and then that's sent back into here to be ready for a new one. Now, when I designed this at first, I only had one processor over there, one crafting processor. Now I have placed a second one over here, and I will demonstrate why I did that. So if we make the calculation processor, and let's make 10 of those. Perfect. You can see here, this one is busy with crafting or creating 10 of those. We will have, these are sent over here and they will be crafted one after one after one. But on this side, we have to have the silicon as well. I didn't have them pre-ordered, so this export bus will order one new every time it's empty. So now you can see we order one, and when this one is finished, when it's finished up there, it will be sent down here again, and it's done. And when it needs to refill, we will get another order over here. But before I had only one CPU, and that meant I could only do one processor at the time because the system would freeze. It had to wait for, it couldn't craft the next silicon part. So if I remove this one, like that. At first I thought that this crafting CPU could handle that, but in that design it couldn't. So everything just stops here. We have no one to do the silicon because this crafting CPU is already busy. So let's cancel the job, and I will show you how we can do that much faster. Okay, so I reset everything. We have no current jobs and we have no processors. A way to make this faster is that, say I want 16 engineering processors. Then I should order 16 of these first, the printed silicon, and then I can start the process of making 16 processors. Now what we'll see is that this inscriber will make 16 printed silicons directly. So I have everything ordered here, waiting for it to be processed. This will craft 16 silicons, as I said. You can see them over here. We have 14 left. And this processor will take care of the final steps. So it works exactly the same way as before, but it's quicker because we don't need to order one new each time. Now I ordered 16 directly. So the total process will be much faster. So here you can see it in motion. We have the diamond down there, we have the silicon up there, they're working in parallel. And this inscriber is filled up constantly from both sides to do the job. So that's how it works. Not too complicated, I hope. But if you think so, then continue to watch, because I will rebuild everything from scratch starting here. So let's start with power. We have a creative energy cell and we have an ME controller. Now we need some cables. We're done with those. And let's just do the dense cable all the way over here. And this is a place where we have the storage. You can have any type of storage that you want, but this is how we'll make it. Let's begin with the silicon and the interfaces, or the terminals, sorry. First, we have the pattern terminal and the crafting terminal. We have nothing here. I could borrow stuff from there later, but let's not jump to that part yet. Here we have that, and we need to have an export bus and import bus. So the output is at the bottom, the standard vanilla furnace. So import bus, go down to here. That means everything down that's finished is imported back into the system directly. It's a standard setting. We have to have the export bus on this side. Now I need some of that coal and some of that. We make the patterns later. Here, one coal on the export bus, and we have some more cables to connect. Now if I insert coal into the system, it will directly start to fill up the furnace, thanks to the export bus. Okay. And then up here we'll place the interface. Now it's a good time to check what are we going to do? What will we do here? Well, we will make silicon in the furnace. We make silicon from dust. Okay, so let's get some dust, and we can have some silicon as well. And we need some patterns. Forgot those. Blank patterns. Nice. Let's go into processing. That's the correct term. So with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Certus quartz, we will process into 8 silicon. And the reason for using 8 is of course that one coal will burn for 8 units. So doing just one at a time, it will be inefficient. We'll probably need it at one point or the next. So encoded pattern creates silicon with dust. Okay, let's insert it up here, and now we should see it here. Perfect. So if I throw some Certus quartz in here, let's change the view. No, it's fine. Craft 8 silicon. Oh right, we have no crafting CPUs. Now we have crafting CPU. So 8. I can show what happens if I take 10, because that means we'll do another batch. 16 will be the outcome, just to make it even. So start, 16 are put into the furnace, and 16 will end up in the system later. So it's a good thing to just verify this after each step, so you make sure that every step is working before moving on, because we will build on to this when we move on through the system. Okay. Next part is to do all these interfaces. Well, let's place 1, 2, 3, 4. So these, where do we have the no inscriber? Quickly fetched. So 4 inscribers, 4 interfaces. These will take care of each pattern. So let's start down here with the engineering, and we can have the calculation, the logic, and the silicon. So these will craft us all the presses that we'll need in the final step. We can't do anything with With these, they are just a middle step. And let's place some export buses all the way. Sorry, we need to use import. We import it back to the system. Good. 2, 3, 4, and connect. So these will import whatever we craft in these inscribers into the system. Okay, so let's take care of these patterns now. We have the interfaces ready. Now we make the patterns. So I got some stuff in the last cut. So we'll clear this out. And let's say that we make with one silicon, we make one printed silicon. So that's the top one. Then with one gold, we make one printed logic circuit. Oops. And let's encode that. Now these circuits, these printed circuits, I should say the printed silicon and the printed circuits, you have to make them manually the first round at least. Since you need them to be able to craft the pattern, you will have to make them at least once. But that's a simple step, and I've covered that in some, one of the first parts of the spotlight over there, I think. Yep, so that should be clear at this point, I think. So let's start from the top. Here we have one silicon to one printed silicon. Let's place the pattern. And here we have one gold to one logic circuit. Place that one. And make sure we have the logic press and the silicon press, or this won't work. We have the printed calculation circuit with one pure circuit, 30 quartz. And here we have the calculation. And the final one is the diamond to printed engineering, and here we have the engineering press. So with those patterns in place, we should have all these four here. Let's test them one by one. Printed silicon. Oh, we're missing quartz. So we need some. Yeah, I have it on me. So let's make these. Let's try again. Printed. Here we have one Certis to craft, one calculation. Start. It ends up in here directly. Pure Certis quartz, calculation circuit, imported back into the system, and here we have it. Let's do one more. And to make this more clear, as I said before, I recommend you having the crafting monitor. Just place it on top. And here we have the engineering. We can do the logic one. Start. And you can see that it's currently crafting. You can see it in here as well, but it's more clear when you have it out here. You can watch the presses, or the inscriber working with the press at the same time. And the final one, printed silicon, give us one start. It should be up here. And it's done, and it should be in the system. Okay, so that's good. Now that part is working. Now comes the part where we have to wrap this up. So let's start with placing the inscriber. Do you have it one step? Yep. One step between, like that. Or how did I? Yeah, that's okay. So now we have to know exactly what to export where. We have to export some items here. So let's export on the back. Here we want redstone. So let me grab some. So here we want to have redstone into the back. And let's just connect it from anywhere. And put some into the system, of course. Where do we have it? Here. But we can only fit one. I have the same setting as I had on the furnace, but we can only fit one in here. So it ends up at the correct position directly. Next one is the from the bottom export bus at the bottom. Here we want printed silicon. But to make this happen, now I can just demonstrate how it works without the crafting upgrade. We have it here directly, but it's just because I have one over here. But we can craft it from here. We can order one here, start, and it will be crafted on here, and it will automatically end up in here whenever it's finished. There it came. But to be able to do this automatically, we need this crafting card. Now, in the export bus, crafting card. Then we get this crafting behavior. We can see it's active and everything. Now, if I remove this, we have nothing in the system. You can see this crafting monitor just got lit, and this Inscriber got to work, and it got exported over here. And then it stopped because it's finished. It will only order one at a time. If I remove that, a new one will be ordered within short. Yeah, there it is. So it's processing and it ends up in here. So that part is working. Now I think we're done with those. The final part of this puzzle is to have the final interface up here. We can attach it from anywhere. Just keep track on how many channels you have on these cables. I have A6 here, so it's okay. Up here is where we insert from the top up here, and this decides what processor we will get. So now we have to make that happen. And good thing I had these printed circuits ready here, because with one logic circuit, oh, we need to do this manually once, same thing as before. We can actually do that. So if I have one logic up here, it will craft us the processor. I could snag it. And then one more will be ordered, and let me just put two more in there. We have the next one. Just make sure that it works. Oh, it's not exporting. Exporting from the Inscriber, importing into the network. Easy to mix that up, like that. Now it should disappear. Perfect. And let's make the final one as well. Good, I got it. And yeah. So here we have them, and let me take the old ones that we had from before, and let's make these patterns. So one printed logic circuit into one logic processor encode. This is exactly the same thing as we did before in the first step, so it should be easy to follow at this point. Now we have all three patterns. Just put them in there and we're good to go. We have one crafting storage to place, but let me just start with this. Can we sort? Yep. Logic processor. As you can see, we have no... I can actually remove the silicon as well to make... so we can demonstrate the entire chain. And we need some gold, diamonds, and Certus quartz. And more dust. And I just get some more of that as well, and more redstone as well. So we have all parts. Now we can get into crafting. We have no silicon, we have no printed silicon or circuits, and we have no processors. So let's begin with the logic processor, and we can make one just to demonstrate that it's working. And it's not because we need another crafting motor already. It's a good way to prove a point, to prove it that quickly. Now, look. We got the Certus quartz running. I think it... oh, it was already finished. Oh, yeah, well, it was already finished. That's why I didn't see it. So now we can make the next one. Calculation processor. Give us one. I will remove this again just to show you what happens. Everything is loaded. We can make the calculation processor one. No problem. We have the quartz inserted into there, and it ends up in here, and everything is working fine. But now, if I order 2, oh, it's not done. Now it's done. If I order 2 of them, now the system will hang after the first one because we have no one to craft the printed silicon for us. So look at this, now we have the circuit crafted into a processor, we have the second one being inserted, but we have no silicon to put in here. Well, we have the silicon, but we have no one to order it. So now we can just... we need 1 second. Now it was ordered from this export bus. And then it ended up in here, and now we got the job. So with those 2 crafting CPUs, the system is complete. And we can order not extremely large jobs, but we can at least order 30, I think. That's okay. 190 bytes, we can order a lot more. Because this is only the processor that I'm ordering. The next part of the silicon, the printed silicon, is ordered automatically from this. But to speed things up, I should order 30 of those as well. As soon as this one is finished, now I can start. Now we have the 2 working in parallel, speeding up the process a lot. But if you only need 1 at a time, you should be okay with only 1 crafting CPU. But yeah, it's no big deal crafting 1 more. So that's the entire system. I hope, if you watched this far, that everything is completely clear. If not, as always, feel free to ask, and I will try to explain and help as to my best. So thanks for watching, if you managed this long video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!